Well, it's early. It's 7:30. The concrete truck is going to be here in about 30 minutes, and I can hear my helpers coming up the driveway here in just a hot second. So we're going to do our last little bit of prep, which is just putting some release agent on the concrete tools to make sure that they don't get all caked in concrete and hard to wash. I'm going to re-oil the forms one last time and then start wetting the ground down, move things around. We got a couple of vehicles here to get out of the way. This is definitely my ride or die crew. My wife, my boys, my father, my baby sister, her wife, and her family. No matter the challenge that I put in front of them, they're always willing to step in and help out and just do whatever they can possibly do. It doesn't matter if they've never done it before, they're always willing. So as we wait for the truck to arrive, we go through a little bit of a pre-work huddle where we go over who's going to be tasked with what and give some basic instructions on how to. They are mostly first-timers, and even with my amateur experience expressed forward, I just know they're going to do great today. Oh yeah, buddy.
Okay, get in there, start raking.
Every action we do is going to get shorter and shorter. over on this side of me so you can reach under, because a low rake angle does a good job of stripping. You're okay. I'm going to swing this corner around, so just work right here. Okay? That's 3? Yeah. So that's half of what you got?
I have like
not more of that.
I think we're just a little bit up the tree. I think by the time we build this out, we'll be
Okay. So we'll probably get to the corner here. We'll snap the board in.
an hour.
Yeah, probably. Let's grab 2x4 out of the pile and put it across the front, across the edge of that too. We're not gonna have enough concrete, so we're trying to manage it. yard and a half. Okay, well, let's just come across here till you run out.
You want a straighter? You want to
Yeah, I'll pull it and straight it across, but I think if you only got one more yard, we're only gonna get maybe to this next rebar. So let's just get it in here and then I'll straight it up. It's just empty everything you got. We'll see what we got. 6, I'm gonna set it about here. I think that's about all we're gonna get is right here. Let me set that one and we'll. You see why I didn't want to have the siding on their walls?
For sure.
Because you always get some concrete splash.
Yeah, like that.
And it's fine as long as you rinse it off while it's still really soft. But that's the main reason that we've put off finishing the siding on the exterior of the shop this summer. We plan to have concrete surround this shop on all 4 sides for various purposes, and didn't want to have to deal with the mess of the concrete splash up onto the siding. Plus, once the concrete's down, we'll easily be able to set up our scaffolding and roll right along the walls, getting everything installed easily. The other thing you may have noticed is that we did not include any kind of a grid work of rebar in these slabs. We could have laid out the rebar and poured the slab a little bit thinner and still had plenty of reinforcement. Or, like we chose, leave the rebar out and pour the slab a little bit thicker to give it the strength it needs. The first lesson I learned about laying concrete is that it's always going to crack. And when it cracks, you hope that it cracks right on your cut lines or your mark lines. As is often the case, over time, cracks will continue to form in other parts of the slab though. When that happens, it can be extremely difficult to remove that concrete if it's been reinforced with rebar. So my choice is to leave the rebar out and pour the slab thicker. That way, if a section of it ever has to be replaced, it can easily be broken apart, removed, and repoured without the hassle of the embedded rebar. I am gonna finally have some coffee.
Let's go. This is so wet. I don't remember doing this.
It is really wet. Yeah.
Like it should be forming a little more, but
Yeah,
I like it though.
this will get a little bit closer and I'll hit it again this way. And that'll take out these ridges from the bull float this direction. And once it starts to take the sheen off, then we'll hit it with the Fresno and start floating out the cream.
What's the Fresno?
That's the round edge.
Oh,
Round-edged steel
this piece
trowel.
right there?
Yeah, I think that's what they, for whatever, when it has the round edges, they call it Fresno. But the guys that taught me, that's what they always called it.
That was probably like some hazing thing.
I honestly, I think it had to do,
They're like, let's tell Mark this is a Fresno. And then he'll just call it a Fresno from then on.
For the rest of
believe
his
me,
life.
they're a lot more creative than that. It would have been something. But this is your standard like concrete steel trowel with square edges. And the
I
Fresno
always
has
thought you
round
always said steel trout, and I'm like, weird.
steel head trout.
Yeah.
As you can tell, the only hazing I get anymore is from my family.
It's
We
kind
wanna
of cool
fill
that
this
the
back
boys
up.
came out. It's just one more thing to get exposure to, you know, as far as
For
like
real.
construction.
Yep.
This is a big trade. This in a summertime, there's guys who make six figures.
Yep.
Like, and if you have the right tools and you know how to do it,
If you have a Fresno and a trowel.
you have a steel trout,
Trout.
a trawl,
Steel head trout.
a Fresno, and a Fresno.
Uh-oh.
It's setting. Good hit.
Yeah.
Mark's got to do what he's got to do, and he's got to do it right now.
I couldn't have been more blessed to have the help that we had. Everybody was novice. The only people that have worked any concrete on that crew was my father, my wife, and my sister Amy. The three of them are the only ones that have done any, and Amy's only done it once or twice as a helper on a big project for the family. Ola's only done the concrete one time, and that was when we poured the back patio at our previous home. And that got her a first experience with it. So this is the first go around for them of really being part of things. And my dad used to do it when he was younger. He'd done some, but you know, we're all just amateur hour trying at it. The boys picked up talents really quickly. We showed them some of the basic entry levels. Everest was really great at doing the raking. He did a good job, a little bit of direction and understanding the hustle that goes along with that. While it's still fresh, we spray it with a sealant, which is an acrylic base sealant that goes on wet green concrete. And that's going to lock the surface and keep the moisture from evaporating out so that the surface stays protected.
Do you have to put more on later, or?
No, one coat now, one good coat on now, and it'll bind with the water that's in the concrete and keep it from evaporating off the surface. Because if it evaporates off before it cures, you'll get little fissure cracks in the surface and they'll want to pop and come loose in the wintertime.
Which is when you see like the flakes lift
All those
off.
flaky pock marks is from not having it sealed properly. So if we seal it now, it'll help. Doesn't necessarily get rid of it, but it'll help keep that from happening because it'll lock the moisture in and keep it wet while it cures. Oh heavens, well that was a busy day. I had called and scheduled for between 12 to 14 yards and they brought about 14. But I definitely undercalculated. Between the two trucks, we had a total of 13.5 yards of concrete. We were able to get it through here and stuff a board on the end to make up a good break point. And then the same with the frontage. We were able to get started and then put a break board in there as soon as we knew we were about out and able to pour to that, which is just about where I was going to put a cut line anyway. So it's just fine. Everything has a 2-inch slope and we've got a broom finish on it. It's all sealed. I rinsed this down because we had a little bit of concrete residue on the apron coming out of the door. So I hit that with a little splash of vinegar to help break down that lime binder, and then hit it with a wire brush any place that was really stuck, and just worked that down, rinsed it off. The rest of the concrete pad was already sprayed with the sealer, so that none of the lime affects that. But everything's draining off pretty nicely, so we should be in good shape. We've got 2 inches of drop across 14 feet. Unfortunately, it's going to be next week before we can get them back up here. I would have loved to have them back, run another truck back up today, but they just didn't have time. They had other appointments they had to fill, so we'll get them back up here next week to finish pouring this. And I talked to him already, and we're going to order an entire full truck just to make sure he comes up full and has plenty to pour it. I've used these guys every time we've done any work up here, and we've got a really good rapport with them. I really like dealing with them. The benefit of their trucks are mix on-site trucks. So that's really great for us because I'm not a skilled concrete calculation dude. Obviously, I planned on 14 and we're about 7 yards short. But I'd rather have it thick. I don't care that we're putting extra concrete in here to get to the height we want. I'd rather have it thick, knowing that if I bring the dump truck or the excavator or the dozer, I'm not going to worry about what I come across this concrete with. It's going to be strong enough. So that was the other reason we did 6-inch pour inside the shop. For all of that slab was 6-inch, because I didn't want to deal with any cracking other than where I've put the break points. It turned out great. Everybody did a great job, and we got it done. Now I just got to get this done and this part of it set. I can't be more excited about this.